Hi everybody and welcome to this introduction to JavaScript. As you're watching the video, don't forget to stay focused, pay attention, and don't be afraid to try out the things that you see in the videos. Let's get started.
Hi everybody, we're going to do a short review of some of the concepts we've already been studying in our study of JavaScript. And we're going to do this by having a look at how to create a crypto exchange calculator. And this is a visual design of what the calculator is going to look like. There's going to be an image at the top of the calculator. Then the current balance will be displayed. Then the calculator will ask how much money do you want to take out, and the user can input a number here. Then we're going to click go, and a few things might happen after we click go. For example, if the number that we're trying to take out of our account is greater than the balance, we're going to get an error message. Otherwise, let's say we try to take out $500 and we have 1,000, so that should be okay, and this will update. Okay? Also, what we're going to do is, if I take out, let's say I have got 500 and I try to take out 300, this will go down to 200, and I want this image to change. Because I don't have much money in my account anymore, I want there only to be $2 displayed. And maybe if I have less than 200, only $1 is displayed. So we are going to be updating this image as well. So let's go and have a look at my current design in Notepad++. I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's have a quick look at my project folder. I've got my web page, and I've got 3 images. So for example, I've got a $1 image, and I've got a $2 image, and a $3 image. So I'm going to be using these in this project. Alright, let's go and have a look at my Notepad++. So at the moment, in the head section, I've styled the body element. And if you want to copy that, you can. It will just center everything and make it look kind of reasonable. So that's a useful bit of CSS. In the body of the web page, I've got my dollars image. Then I've got a message saying balance, and then I've got the current balance. So we're starting with 1,000. Then there's another message, how much money would you like to take out? And then we have an input. The input tag is very interesting because it doesn't have a closing tag, right? It doesn't have that. It's similar to the image tag. We just have one tag for input. Then we have a button, and I'm going to call a function when I click that button. And here we have an element to display any warning messages. Now, some of these elements need to be targeted by JavaScript. So for example, if the balance gets low, we're going to change the image source. So we need to target this element with JavaScript, so I'm going to give it an ID. I'm going to call it $image. Also, the balance is going to be updated by JavaScript. So I'm going to give it an ID of balance. Also, the input is going to be targeted by JavaScript because we need to get the value from the input into our code. So I'm going to give it an ID of amount. And I'll tell you what, I'm also going to do this with the input element. We can specify that the type of input can only be a number. This is useful because we won't have to do the parse int trick, because JavaScript will already know that data in this input is a number, it's not text, so that's useful. Now when we click the Go button, we're going to call a function. Let's give it a name. I'm just going to call it update balance, and it's a function, so we need the 2 round brackets. So we'll call that function when we click the button. And this h4 element is used for the warning messages. JavaScript will take care of that, so I am going to give this an ID of warning. So the design, the visual design, is ready, and we're telling JavaScript where to find some of the elements in the page. So let's come down to JavaScript now. The first thing I'm going to do is create a variable called balance. I'm going to call it my balance. And I'm going to assign it a starter value of 1,000, right? So this variable can be seen by any function in the JavaScript. Okay, that's known as a global variable. Now what I'm going to do is design my function, and I've called it update balance. Right, okay. So the first thing we want to do is grab the input value that the user typed into this input box. So we might do something like this. Var amount equals document.get element by ID. What did I call it? I called it amount dot inner HTML. So whatever's on the inner HTML will be assigned to this variable. The problem is there is no inner HTML. Do you remember I told you already we don't need this closing tag, so there is no inner HTML with the input tag. That's a problem. So let's do a bit of research very quickly and see if we can figure out how to grab the input text value. So what I did was I went to HTML input value JavaScript, and a good resource is W3 Schools. Document.getElementById .value. Not .innerHTML for this one. So let's try that. Let's see if we can grab the value from the input and store it in a variable. To see if that's working, let's use console log. And we'll just see if that is doing what it should. So we'll save that, and we'll go back to our project and refresh the page. Open up the console. Let's do 500 and go. Yes, we got it. It grabbed the value from the input. We've got it into JavaScript, so now we can do some processing. Okay, brilliant. So what we want to do is, now that we've got the amount, we want to check that is it bigger than the balance, right? So if what's the condition? If amount is greater than balance, then what we're going to do is put a warning message into that element. So document.getElementById warning .inner HTML equals not enough money available. Okay, so if the amount that we're trying to take out is greater than the available balance, or I called it that should be my balance, shouldn't it? Then we're going to display a warning message in this element here, which is this element. So let's save that and refresh our page and see if that works. I'm going to try and take out 2,000. I only have 1,000. I'm going to try and take out 2,000. Go. Not enough money available. Let's just refresh and test it with a reasonable number, 500. Do we get the warning message? No. There's no warning. Perfect, so that works. So, if the amount is greater than my balance, we're going to do this. Else, we're going to update the balance in fact, I've called it my balance. We're going to update my balance. We're going to display my balance in the web page. So in there, in that h1 tag, we're going to update that, right? And we're also going to mess around with the image. If my balance is greater than 500, the image source will be $3.jpg, right? The image source will be $3.jpg. Else, if my balance is greater than 200, the image source will be $2.jpg. Else, so this will be the final condition, else the image source will be equal to $1.jpg. Okay? So your challenge is to see if you can figure out how to make that work.